3, 2, 1, action!
Hi, this is Victoria Wolders, and I want to welcome you to another Empathy Tale. Today's Empathy Tale is Empathy Tale episode 14, The Boy, the Hawk, and the Peace Flower. And today I'm excited to share this story with you. If you have any ideas, any thoughts about stories to tell, I'd love for you to take the time to connect with me through my website at mykidslocker.com. I'd love to hear from you. So let's get started. Have you ever been in a competition? Sometimes, don't you want to have the teacher to see the before or the effort you put into something before the competition? Have you ever worked so hard at something and you just hope that the evaluator would actually be able to see the hard work before? Well, when I was in grade 12, I had a teacher named Mr. Purr, and he was a brand new teacher, and he was teaching History 12. And at the end of the school year, we were expected to write a paper. Well, I spent hours on it. I even drove to a local university and did research because that was before the internet. I was so proud of the hard work and energy I put in. Then I found out that there was a boy in my class who chose to get his friend to write his paper for him. He cheated. And when I received my paper back and I got a C-, the student who cheated got a B. When it was time to talk to the teacher about our scores, I remember sitting with the teacher and I started to cry. I had worked so hard and I had gotten a C-. With the lack of tools to create an A or B level paper, it made me sad, especially when I knew this one student had cheated. Mr. Purr was taken back by my tears, and the next class he pulled me over and he said he went home and he could not sleep that night because he was so upset at what happened. I was taken back at a teacher telling me that he was sad from something I did. In the end, he reviewed my paper and took the time to go over it with me so I could improve for next time. Sometimes I wonder if I had someone to parachute in and watch me, then maybe the result would have been different. I needed help and assistance in the road to the end, or, in this story, the castle. Take time to think about when was the last time you were faced with a difficulty or a challenge. Would it have helped if the person you were dealing with had seen the bigger picture and your story before that challenge happened? Today's episode is about a boy, the Hawk King, and a flower. I hope that you enjoy this story, and I hope that you take the time to think about the last time you had a difficulty. Well, if you're comfortable, then I will begin. Once upon a time, a long time ago, in the Oak and Eagle Kingdom, there lived a boy who led a very poor life. His family and him lived in a shack on the edge of a village. His name was Strength. One day, an invitation came to the door of this impoverished family for all the children to come and visit with the king from the village of Rivers. The village of Rivers was very close to their home, and it was known to be a wonderful village. This one particular king had invited the children for a Sunday dinner. The king was named the Hawk King because he adored hawks. The boy, named Strength, was quite poor. He didn't have much money, and he didn't have very nice clothing. But the good news is that the father had a close friend named the River Wizard, who lived by the river. The father would often go down there to pick up wood so he could sell the wood to the River Wizard. The River Wizard often helped him. Well, as soon as the invitation came, they went down to the river to deliver some wood. "Could you please help us? My son doesn't have anything to give, and we'd really like for him to go and see the king." "Well, of course, I would love to help him," said the River Wizard. "Here are some seeds, and you're going to plant the seeds in a pot, and in 5 days you will see a bud. It won't bloom yet, but it will be in the pot and be ready for a gift for our king." He also said, "Here are your clothes." And all of a sudden, he waved his hands, and a handsome vest, brand new shoes, and pants appeared. Well, the father had an old jacket from years ago. He was very proud of it, and his father said, "Yes, I will give you my jacket. And Wizard, thank you so much for the beautiful vest, shoes, and pants you have given my son." They planted the seeds, then they waited and waited. 5 days later, the son, Strength, was ready with his gift and his outfit. The son said, "Yes, but I'd like to see your jacket." The father went to his closet to take off the jacket and realized that it hadn't been worn in such a long time that moths had eaten a few holes in the sleeves. The father did the best he could to try to sew the holes up, but he couldn't do as well as he had hoped. And he said, "I wore this jacket a long time ago. Son, please wear this jacket even though it does have holes. It is to represent our family and what we have. And then you can wear the other clothes as well from the wizard." The boy agreed. The boy left for the dinner. He smiled at the father and he walked up the hill. On his way up the hill, there were hawks soaring nearby. He was excited to meet the Hawk King, and he was overwhelmed. As he was walking up, he saw some young boys, and they were laughing at him. They too were heading to the dinner. They started saying, "What do you have in the pot? It doesn't look like anything special." Strength replied, "Well, I was given this gift from the River Wizard. It is a special type of plant. It hasn't bloomed yet, but it will, and it will be meant for the king." The boy said, "Well, we don't believe you, and it looks like a piece of grass." Strength looked at them in their eyes and said, "You don't understand." They began to laugh at his clothes. And Strength said, "I love my jacket the most, even though it has holes in it. This was my father's, and he has given it to me. I am very proud of it." The boy kept on walking. As he kept on going onward to the castle, he met some girls. The girls started laughing at him. They said, "Nice jacket." They made some faces that were perceived as disgust. They were making faces at him. Strength turned to them. "I love my jacket. This was my father's jacket." He glanced up at the hawks and chose to walk away because sometimes the energy we spend on confronting people who don't understand takes energy that could be put towards others. "This is such a delightful jacket," he thought to himself, "even though I have been given brand new shoes and pants. I love my jacket. This is something that is very important to me. I wish the girls could see what I could see, because they would treasure the jacket as much as I have treasured the jacket. My father loves me so much, and he has given me this jacket." He held his head up high and his shoulders back, and he walked up to the castle. As he continued to walk up, he bumped into the river wizard. He leaned over and said, "You've done well, my boy Strength. Whether they've made fun of your plant or whether they've made fun of your clothes, you have chosen to be kind to them. You've chosen to be wise with your words and your thoughts." It looked like he was ready to go up the hill to meet the king, yet before he left the river wizard, he chose to sprinkle some fairy dust on the plant for it to grow faster and speak a special word of kindness to its soon-to-be owner, the king. So the wizard did just that, and he sprinkled fairy dust on the plant. Strength continued on his journey and went to the Hawk King's castle. He was welcomed by some servants, and he saw the children were eating at the table. There must have been at least 100 children. And the king walked in. He had several majestic hawks perched beside the throne. The Hawk King was dressed in a royal robe lined with gold etching. He was coughing and he was sneezing. The king apologized. He leaned over and said, "I've been sick and I apologize for my coughing." Strength put up his hand. He said, "I have something for you." The king said, "Come forward, my boy." Strength presented the pot. The boy looked down as he handed the pot to the king. All of a sudden, it was a beautiful red flower. And he said, "Smell the flower, my dear king." The king leaned over the plant as the last petal lifted open and the flower whispered, "Peace," to the king. All of a sudden, that king was healed. He appreciated Strength's gift and his kindness. At this time, several other children were lined up. They wanted to see the beautiful peace plant. The king looked around at the many children. The Hawk King began to say, "I want you all to know that this boy named Strength and his father are poor, but out of his kindness, I have seen him from my hawks, that he has chosen to talk kindly to all people around him. My hawks have told me that some children have been unkind to him However, he always chose to be kind to them. He always chose to be caring. He looked down at the boy's strength. I have for you in my castle a room for you and your father. You and your father will live here for the rest of your lives, and you will be taken care of. You are now part of our royal family. Strength was surprised, and he questioned the Hawk King. I don't understand why you are granting us this honor. Was it because I gave you a flower? The Hawk King replied, It was more than that. I have been watching you, and I am good friends with the River Wizard, and I asked all these children here because I knew that I wanted to pick you. I wanted to pick a child that would represent kindness. I am sick, and I have no heirs to the throne. I desire for a man to lead our village of rivers. They knew that from that point on, Strength would always be welcomed and share in the royalty of the king. Strength showed kindness, and despite other people's unkind behavior, he chose to respond with kindness. And from that point on, Strength and his father lived in the castle with the Hawk King, and they came to grow in kindness and care for those around them. Thank you so much for joining us today for another empathy tale, Creating Compassion One Story at a Time. This is Victoria Wolders, and I hope that you had a lovely time listening to this empathy tale. Take some time to think about what does it mean to be kind? What does it mean to be caring? And hopefully today you will be able to create compassion one story at a time in your life. Thank you so much.
3, 2, 1, action.